Hello, and welcome to the Virginia City Inn. Let's take a look at some of the rooms here. The Pony Express Room. The Pony Express was founded by William H. Russell, William B. Waddell, and Alexander Majors. Plans for the Pony Express were spurred by the threat of the Civil War and the need for faster communication of the West. The Pony Express consisted of relays of men riding horses carrying saddlebags of mail across a 2,000-mile trail. The service opened officially on April 3, 1860, when riders left simultaneously from St. Joseph, Missouri and Sacramento, California. The service lasted only 19 months until October 24, 1861, when the completion of the Pacific Telegraph line ended the need for its existence. However, the romantic drama surrounding the Pony Express had made it a part of the legend of the American West. Moving along, we have the Piute Room. The Piutes were the Native Americans that lived in and around Virginia City. It was a sad time for the Piutes when their land was stripped of the pinyon trees. Sarah Winnemucca was the most famous of the Piutes. Sarah gave lectures in the Piper Opera House here in Virginia City and in San Francisco. Her statue is in the Capitola Rotunda today. Poker was a serious occupation for the Piutes. Even Sarah's grandfather, Chief Winnemucca, could never resist a game of poker. He has been known to lose his ponies, guns, blankets, and even his clothes in a game. He loved and treated the whites kindly and admonished others to do the same. He called them his white brothers. In Virginia City, every male buck, Piute, was called Jim, and every squaw was either Mahala or Mary. Only the chief had a distinctive name. Every baby was a papoose. Next is the Silver Screen Cowboy Room. Virginia City, starring Errol Flynn, Miriam Hopkins, Humphrey Bogart, and Randolph Scott, is an old black and white movie depicting events which took place during the Civil War right here in Virginia City. The Silver Screen Cowboys like Roy Rogers, Gene Autry, Rex Allen, the Lone Ranger, Hopalong Cassidy, along with others like John Wayne, are remembered in this room. They played a part of many lives in the 50s and 60s, not only in Virginia City, but even among our guests from other countries. The silver screen television shows and movies romanticize the life of the American cowboy. Next is the Immigrant Room. Mark Twain once described Virginia City this way: all the people of the earth had representatives in Silverland. The mining in Virginia City gave Nevada one of the largest percentages of foreign-born in the 19th century in the nation. People from Europe, Asia, and Africa, also North, South, Central America, came to the district, hoping to capture some of the success that had become a legend. The Pioneer Room. In the spring of 1849, Abner Blackburn, a Mormon trader, while waiting for supplies, discovered a little gold at the mouth of Gold Canyon and on the Carson River at present Dayton. Not being a prospector, he didn't pursue his find. The next year, in early spring of 1850, other pioneer parties from Salt Lake City were bound for California, as they were sent out to make many settlements in the West. They were detained from crossing the Sierras by snow in the mountains. While waiting in the Dayton area, they proceeded in prospecting for gold where gold had been found previously by Abner Blackburn. John Orr named the canyon Gold Canyon and found a large nugget weighing 19.4 grams. These early discoveries were made with such tools as a butcher knife and a bread pan. The pioneers were not much into mining, and most didn't stay. However, the rush was on. This is a story of hardship, deprivation, and discouragement, which led to the discovery of the treasure unequaled in the American mining history. Next is the Civil War Room. Some have claimed that Virginia City won the Civil War and preserved our nation. This room is in memory of the great help the people of Virginia City gave in the war effort. Many came from the South to Virginia City to the mining camps to escape the war. The large amount of silver that was mined here and sent to the Union did indeed have much to do with the outcome of the war. The Mark Twain Room. Samuel Longhorn Clemens was born in Florida, Missouri in 1835. He grew up in Hannibal, Missouri, which gave a background for his later books, Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn. After the Civil War started, Samuel came west by stagecoach He tried his hand at mining in California and finally in Virginia City, Nevada, with no success. He got a job at the Tutorial Enterprise newspaper in Virginia City. It was here that he took the pen name Mark Twain. He was praised by mankind, and his name is well known in America as a humorist and a great writer. He has given real intellectual enjoyment to millions and will continue to give pleasure to millions in the future. The Retro Room. The Red Dog Saloon, located in the heart of downtown Virginia City, played an important role in the development of psychedelic music. Janis Joplin, the Grateful Dead, Big Brother, the Holding Company, Charlatans, and others got their start during the summer of 1965 at the Red Dog Saloon. There was no real distinction between performers and audience. LSD boosted the mood along with the psychedelic light show. The hippie movement was here along with the Flower Children, communal living, and experimenting with drugs. In time, the hippies went back to San Francisco. Next is the Wild Horse Room. Miners and prospectors used mules, horses, and burros to pull, cart, and work in the mines, as well as searching for ore deposits. They would chase down the wild horses or burros, which were brought by the Spaniards earlier and proliferated here in Nevada. Many were abandoned by Native Americans when the U.S. government, pioneers, and miners interrupted their way of life. Mules and horses were also used to carry supplies, build roads, railways, telegraphs, and telephone lines. The firefighters used them, the stagecoach used them, the army used them, and farmers also used them. Nevada is home to most of the nation's wild horses and burros. In 1971, Congress passed legislation to protect and manage and control wild horses and burros on public lands. These animals were declared to be living symbols of the historic and pioneer spirit of the West. The Some Like It Hot Room. Marilyn Monroe and Clark Gable starred in The Misfits, the last movie of their remarkable popular careers, right here in Virginia City. The making of The Misfits was troublesome in many ways. The temperatures in Nevada desert were at times 108 degrees. Marilyn didn't like the clothes she wore in the movie, and she didn't like herself in the movie. She would usually come very late for the filmings or not at all. It was noted that she was sinking further and further into drug and alcohol abuse and had to go to a detox for 2 weeks during the filming. Within a year of filming, she died of a drug overdose. Clark Gable suffered from a heart attack 2 days after filming the movie and died 2 weeks later. Next up is the Victorian Room. Virginia City's most productive years were during the Victorian era. It began with the reign of Queen Victoria and ended with her death. This era is loved for its attention to high morals, modesty, and decor, which was inspired by Queen Victoria and Prince Albert. In America, during the Victorian era, so much was happening with the settling of the West, especially with the gold rush to California and then to Virginia City. The growing upper class of the Gilded Age mimicked the high society of England in dress, morality, and mannerisms. The Bonanza Room. The television series featuring the Cartwrights was based on the history of Virginia City and the surrounding area. The first season portrays such events as the Big Bonanza Silver Strike and The Claim to It by Henry Comstock. The dance, which Sarah Winnemucca is said to have attended, where the miners mostly danced with each other for lack of women, and the naming of Virginia City by James Finney, Old Virginie, who was drunk and slipped, breaking his bottle of whiskey. This room commemorates the popular Bonanza television series, which made Virginia City famous around the world. The V&T Railroad Room. For decades, the Virginia Truckee Railroad was the queen of the short lines. It was the wealthiest short line in the world. In 1869, the V&T ran from Virginia City down Gold Hill, where the first ore was mined, and ended up in Carson City. It was built to haul lumber and supplies for the Comstock lode. In July 1976, it was the nation's crookedest railroad. And in 2009, the first steam engine ran from Carson City to Virginia City. Today, many tourists to Virginia City enjoy the experience of yesterday. The Miners' Room. Virginia City holds a special place in the history of the West and America. Gold was found at the head of a 6-mile canyon in 1859 by two miners named Pat McLaughlin and Peter O'Reilly. A fellow miner, Henry Comstock, stumbled upon their find and claimed it was on his property. The miners, McLaughlin and O'Reilly, believed him and assured Comstock a place in history when the giant lode was named for him. Following the gold up the canyon, an outcropping of gold and quartz was found. Gold, mixed with high-quality silver ore, was recovered in quantities large enough to catch the eye of President Abe Lincoln. He needed the gold and silver to keep the Union solvent during the Civil War. On October 31, 1864, Nevada was made a state. The Silver Strike gave Virginia City an honor of being the richest place in the world at the time, and paralleled only perhaps by the discoveries by Incas in Peru. Up next is the upstairs apartment, the Cowboy Hideaway, in memory of the cattle drivers and the rip-roaring cowboy life. The last room in the Virginia City Inn is the Wild West Room, which commemorates cowboys, Indians, and explorers such as Kit Carson, John Fremont, and some Indian chiefs, and the Wild West Show. This brings to life the daring adventures of the courageous settlers of the Wild West. That marks the end of our look into the Virginia City Inn. Come visit us soon.